A buffalo stands amongst its herd, its tail swatting flies away, its jaws munching the delicious grass that only a buffalo could truly appreciate. But not far from this particular buffalo, a predator hid in the same field of delicious grass. Longleaf, a great hunter of the Chicoi tribe, waited patiently with his bow and arrow at the ready. The tended and turned string was pulled, and the docked arrow resting on his finger soared through the air, striking the buffalo. Its massive weight was pulled by its running legs as it took off. Longleaf was in no hurry to chase. He could hear the sucking and sputtering of the wound. The arrow pierced the lungs. He followed it for some time until it collapsed, and with his hand to his mouth, he made a whistle. Other Chicoi in hiding approached as they systematically and mechanically disassembled the buffalo. The meat and muscle and everything else went to the Chicoi tribe. However, Longleaf collected the pelts and started his hike to the neighboring tribe, called the Saracens. The Saracens and Chicoi had a long trade alliance. An elder of the Saracens was a master leatherman, and no one in the Chicoi could ever match the quality or durability of his work. As Longleaf arrived at the encampment, he noticed an odd stillness. Everyone was gathered at the leathersmith's shop and home. Longleaf approached to discover the man had fallen ill. Saracen spirit summoners were performing rituals, and the others of the tribe waited and hoped. Longleaf delivered the pelts to the side. He could tell the concern now was not with his recovery, but if he would even survive. By the time Longleaf returned home to his Chicoi tribe, the bison meat was already being smoked and preserved. The tribes were codependent. Chicoi had the hunters and the skills, and would provide the Saracens some of the meat in exchange for the tanned pelts and furs. Their delivery was days late now. Longleaf told his tribe what he saw, so a delay was expected. What was not expected was when the delivery did come, the furs and pelts were shoddy at best and useless at worst. The chief of the Chicoi, Chief Oakroot, inspected the goods along with some others. He refused the shipment and sent it back. Longleaf was eating breakfast with his wife, Gentle Fern, when he got word. Your delivery to the Saracens is not needed today. Chief has denied their shipment. Seems the leathersmith has passed. Their attempts were not to standard. Longleaf sighed with disappointment. Gentle Fern knew, as well, the troubles this could cause. As they both thanked the messenger, she looked to him. Do you think the Saracens have the means to feed themselves without the trades? Longleaf shook his head. Barely. It was not long later in the day that the Saracens arrived once again, their chief coming with warrior guards to his side and his only daughter. Chief Oakroot came to greet. Longleaf stayed close by in participation of the debates among the chiefs. The day was as chilly as the conversation was. The Saracen chief, Chief Waterstone, had a new trade to offer, the pelts as they were, and his daughter, gifted as a bride to the Chicoi's greatest hunter. Oakroot accepted, and as the meats and pelts traded hands and Waterstone said goodbye to his daughter Acorn, Longleaf and Gentlefern stood waiting to see if they would be chosen to take Acorn into their family. Sure enough, Chief Oakroot came to Longleaf, and at his side was the short and timid Acorn. She was nothing like her father, who was a big burly man. Acorn was very soft-featured, very gentle and delicate in all of her mannerisms. Chief Oakroot started to speak. It is the Saracens' request she goes with our best. You, Longleaf, are our greatest hunter. Longleaf looked to Gentlefern, who gave an approving nod, and with her consent he accepted as well. Gentlefern took Acorn's hand and with much excitement took her over to give her tours of the tribe and show her their new home together. Acorn was quiet and hesitant, but Gentlefern's enthusiasm and kindness was quite infectious, and she found herself enjoying her company quickly. After watching the two ladies go off, Chief turned back to Longleaf. We will have a ceremony between the two tribes and keep the pelts delivery as usual. See if Acorn knows any of the Leatherman's procedures. We may be able to do the work ourselves. Longleaf accepted the orders and went to introduce himself to his new bride. The ceremony was grand. Both tribes came together, danced, ate, and performed rituals of bonding for the married couple. The two tribes' chiefs sat together, and the day was just as much about the wedding as it was escalating the tribe's relationship. The winter months came, and the cold was harsh. The furs and pelts from the Saracens never improved, Every family in the Chikoi tribe was paying for the consequences of this. Acorn was getting very skilled, though, at preserving the furs and tanning the hides. Turns out Acorn had learned some tips and tricks from the leathersmith. As her skills increased, the amount of deer, buffalo, and fox pelts given in trade to the Saracens decreased, along with the amount of meat that they would trade as well. The Chikoi were cold and the Saracens were hungry. Longleaf was creeping through the snowy woods. The bison had migrated south a bit for winter, and as he arrived, he saw them start to stampede, running from a group of spear-wielding Saracens. The herd dispersed, and the sloppy hunting style of the Saracens created the bison a chance to escape. This meant both tribes would be hungry. Longleaf confronted the Saracens with anger. "What are you doing out here? I hunt this herd." A Saracen came forward from the group and shoved Longleaf into the snow. "We will no longer live off the scraps you Chikoi give us. We will hunt and provide for ourselves." Longleaf shot to his feet and in quick rebuttal. "With tactics like yours, we will all starve. Go weave baskets. You have proven yourself a failed man of the wilds." The Saracen jabbed at Longleaf with his spear, but Longleaf was able to knock it away and tackled him. They fought and exchanged blows until the Saracen blacked out from his head hitting a rock during the tussle. His tribesmen dragged him away back home, and Longleaf went home as well, empty-handed and face bloodied. As Longleaf entered the Chikoi encampment, a crowd gathered, and his wives, Gentlefern and Acorn, pushed past them all to find their husband. With great worry, they brought him back to their home and began to dress his wounds. Black and blue and a bloody nose, swollen lip, but nothing serious. The chief barged in. "What happened?" Longleaf explained the whole story, and Chief Oakroot was furious, storming out, "Arrange the war party!" Acorn and Gentlefern both started frantically talking over each other. "War party? He can't be serious. You can't attack my father's tribe." Longleaf waved his hands around as he stood. "I'll fix this." He pursued the chief, catching up with him. "Chief, you can't form a war party. Acorn." The chief interrupted him. "Yes, his daughter is with us and her leather working has gotten much better. You get prepared too. Their incompetence has finally cost us too much." As Chief Oakroot went to ready himself, the warriors were already painting their faces with white lines, a tradition that they believed would harness the spirits of any enemy they slayed to bolster theirs. Longleaf turned to look to his home. His two wives looked back with great worry. Acorn ran to him. "Longleaf, fix this, please. My family and friends, they're all at risk now." Longleaf gave Acorn a comforting hug. "I'll do my best." He gathered his hunting gear and met with the other warriors. They set out right away, making their way through the maze of woods between the two tribes. Longleaf spent the hike convincing the chief to only negotiate. Chief Oakroot respected Longleaf greatly and finally started to compromise. "Fine, when we arrive, I will speak to the Saracen chief Waterstone. But if they do not comply and agree to keep our current trade agreement, I will take action." Just as Longleaf felt relief in the hope of a peaceful outcome, a scream of agony echoed in the woods. He looked up to see arrows raining on him and the other Chikoi warriors. The Saracens had formed their own war party, and the two tribes' soldiers walked right into each other's path. Longleaf ducked behind a tree and saw the two factions collide. Stone axes lodging into flesh, arrows turning men into porcupines. The forest erupted into screams and chaos. Dozens of each tribe, desperate to preserve their way of life, were colliding in battle. Chief Oakroot was screaming at Longleaf, "Go! Fight!" But Longleaf could only think of Acorn and Gentlefern. He already broke his promise to prevent this. He refused to be a part of it any further. He ran back towards the Chikoi tribe, his home, the chief shouting in anger at him, "Fight, traitor!" The yells and sounds of war growing more distant as he ran. Exhausted from the sprint, he arrived home bursting through the door flap, addressing his wives. "Pack anything you can carry. We have to go, now." The two women had many questions, but their trust in their husband was greater than their curiosity. They folded packs of food, garments, flint and fire starters quickly. A mad dash to pack. "What is going on?" Gentlefern asked as she stood, ready and packed. Longleaf started helping Acorn, who was already starting to cry now. "It's war and I'll have no part of it." The other Chikoi watched as Longleaf, Gentlefern, and Acorn ran east, away from their home, their family, and the inevitable brutality of two warring tribes. They walked east for days, taking breaks often as the women were not used to such hikes. Their limited food supply was supplemented by berry and herb foraging, but feeding three was difficult. Longleaf had hoped going east they could find a new tribe or a place to start their own, but it had to be far. A few warm days of early spring felt like a miracle. It had been a week now. Starved and weak, Longleaf did his best to be strong for his wives and show them no doubts that they would find a peaceful life once again. But in his mind he did worry. After another night huddled together for warmth near a small fire, they set out in the morning, their steps slow and feeble, and then they found their salvation, a house made of logs and not of pelts, plants growing in rows and a large creek running alongside of it. And there, the three of them spotted a woman with golden hair, pale skin, and a large pregnant belly, kneeling and singing to herself next to the plants. Joan Emeline looked up and met eyes with theirs, and smiled. How will the two cultures coexist? How will Joan react to her first guest in her isolated life? How will the three natives react when they first see the magical gifts of this strange woman? Find out in part 4 of this origin tale.